Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. Don't worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Whew, lots of coffee being consumed today. Yeah,
I've doubled up on my
definitely.
coffee today.
Yeah, my mine actually kicked in this morning, one cup only, but that's a rarity in itself. So,
Mine kicked
but
in about halfway through the first one, so I don't know where I'm going to be by the end of this podcast. I'll
oh,
probably talking so fast you won't be able to
okay.
understand what I'm saying. We'll see.
Awesome. Anybody listening in more than normal speed is going to think that you're like Mickey Mouse or something then.
It's Alvin and the Chipmunks.
That's how I usually listen to it when I do all the editing.
Mickey. I can't. I'd love
Oh,
to hear that. To hear myself in a high pitched voice. Hi, how are you doing? What are you doing? What are you? Yeah.
exactly. There. That's pretty spot on, to be
Hmm.
honest. Oh man. Yeah, it's been a good morning, but it's been one of those it's just a Monday morning, you know? It's always you never know what's going to happen with those. So,
Yeah.
uh
Headed
but
into May. All
headed
right.
into, I know, right? Like we're getting to that point where we're going to be talking about mental health. But today, though, before we get into next week when we really jump into mental health, today we get to have a special guest on because we have Rachel Conrad, who is going to be presenting at Home DadCon. And I wish that I had this woman in my back pocket as a resource when my kids were just a bit younger, because especially with my oldest, he was a handful when it came to trying to get him to eat. It was a constant battle. It's gotten a little bit better, but also too, we didn't know that he was, going through some health things, but I think was connected with it possibly. But regardless of that, there are so many dads in this organization who are constantly talking about, anybody have trouble getting their kid to eat this? Or how do I get my kid to eat it all? Or
Hmm.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I'm super pumped that we have Rachel not only coming on this show, but also coming to Home Dad Con because her focus on pediatric feeding and also I think it's cool that what she's doing is not only for kids though, but it also is also for adults is the thing that I thought was very interesting in reading her
Yes.
bio.
Yeah. And a lot of what we do, of course, I mean, this being Mental Health Awareness Month, things will focus on ourselves a lot more. But one of the things I think I've never considered until recently was that I might have some issue with eating. And I know I'm an emotional eater, and I made a joke of that. I have a lot of emotions, but that was the truth of it. And I never really thought about it for myself. I always looked at it for my kids. And to hear that Rachel Conrad is living with ARFID now, like as an adult, this is something that she is still, and that makes perfect sense when I say it and when I realize it. But I hadn't thought of that before that. Yeah, I'm thinking of the kids. How do I get my kids to do this? But there are plenty of adults that have that same struggle. And it was really eye opening for me to learn about her.
Yeah, and I think that's also very interesting too is the fact that, a lot of times we focus on the fact that, oh, like our kids have this and overlook the fact
Yeah.
that we also might be dealing with
Yeah.
similar things
Hmm.
because don't forget, folks, they have our DNA.
Yeah.
So more than likely it had to come from somewhere, A parent or B parent, whichever one is how that comes into play. So I think that sometimes, we forget about the science of it all
Right.
and that fact. And so it's nice to sort of take a step back and see the forest and the whole thing and be like, oh,
Hmm.
okay. Because we look at a lot of times like what our kids do and you can be like, oh yeah, that's me. That's definitely me, or, that's you. That was you.
That looks like your mama.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think, being mindful of that, it's very important. And it does fall into the mental health aspect of it because you can kind of go a little bit, crazy for lack of better words in trying to figure some of these things out, especially talking
Right.
to doctors,
Absolutely.
because sometimes they can be very frustrating as well. And so it's nice to be able to have these. outside of the hospital box resources to be able
Hmm.
to talk to. And her like Instagram that, or I don't know if it's actually hers. It's through Feeding Matters. That Instagram page has so many
Yep.
amazing things in it. I was just like scrolling for quite a while last night, just going through all of the different posts that they have, and they have so much going on there. So yeah, I'm very excited to have Rachel on the show today. It's going to
Yep.
be, I think it's going to be a really good conversation. One that probably will. It's one of those ones where it's like we have to stop. No, we have to
I
wait
love
till
too that
October to hear more from you.
for Feeding Matters, she's their research consortium chair.
Okay.
I know what those words mean. I get it. I've never seen them in that particular order, but I want to be one now. I want to have that like on a research consortium. I don't know. I'll probably start my own researching rocks in my driveway. Ah, look, I'm the consortium chair because that's just a cool title for me. That was very impressive. And I understand, it's very important. And I'm not trying to make fun of it at all, but that is a pretty cool title that I think a lot of people don't get, you know. I
I
think that was
agree.
very cool.
I like that title too, definitely. We'll take a short break here, and you guys get to hear a new commercial that has been put together, by the way, also. And I'm just going to put a special shout out to Kieran for helping put this together because the one that we've had running for, multiple years has gotten old. And so super pumped that he jumped on board to help put this together. So enjoy this commercial, and we'll be right back.
So the Dads Run 5K is coming up, and it's about a lot more than just hitting the pavement. It's about building a movement. We're hosting it at Home DadCon this year in Chicago, and if you can't make it, you can still join us virtually from your own neighborhood. It's for the whole family, dads, moms, kids, walkers, it doesn't matter. The best part is that your entry supports the Fathers Overcoming Adversity Fund, helping families right when they need it most. So come be a part of it. Head over to athomedad.org to sign up, or just check the show notes for the link.
All right, and we are back. Hope you enjoyed that new commercial there. If you don't, you can send all of your hate mail to Kieran, and he's on the board. He can handle it. Anyway, yeah, or Danny too. You can send it to him also. He's like, bring it on, man.
Give me what you got.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, we have a special guest today. We are so excited to have Rachel Conrad on with us to talk about what she's going to be diving into for Home DadCon, but even more than that, just getting to know her and her background with the avoidance restrictive food intake disorder. I have no idea. Those words all have, individual, there's meanings to them. Putting them all together, I'm kind of like, I need a pamphlet or something. And so very excited to have Rachel on. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Yes, thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. Any chance I can really get to talk about one, my lived experience with feeding and eating disorder, and two, getting information out there, especially to parents, is really important. When new diagnoses kind of start to become trendy or more of what we call a fad, it's important to get facts out there so people know how to get right resources. Because if you're working in a silo or you're working alone, it's really challenging and it makes your job as a parent a lot harder. So my whole, personality is really to help people find the resources that they need in the feeding world.
Awesome. I want to start with first avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. I know that this is a definition of it or whatever. Give us a bit of background into what that is, and then just to kind of bounce off of that, how did that kind of come into your life, and kind of give us a little bit of timeline, I guess, after you give us this definition of how that's personally affecting you.
Yeah. So ARF, which is avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, has about 3 different components. It is categorized as an eating disorder, so that falls under mental health. And you can have 3 components. You can have 1, 2, or all 3 of them. The first component is going to be like a sensory aversion. So people who experience difficulty with taste, smell, touch, like the overwhelm when it comes to food. A secondary component is going to be more so of, I don't have hunger cues, or I have a lot of medical physical pain, whether that be like reflux or gastroparesis, that's causing me to not be able to consume food and not feel well. And so that can cause your brain to start to shut down like your hunger cues. And so like eventually if you ignore them long enough, they will go away, and it takes a lot of work to get them to come back. And then the third component is going to be a fear-based response. So some people may develop ARFID by having a choking incident or a severe traumatic experience around food that then turns them off from most foods or some foods. It just kind of depends on the person. But one of the things about this specific eating disorder is that there is no body weight situation with it. So like, I'm not concerned about the way that I look. I'm not focusing or trying to lose weight or trying to gain weight. It's more so just about the more of the anxiety, the fear, and the struggle surrounding food, whether that be sensory or fear based. I grew up with what is now called pediatric feeding disorder. So I really struggled as a child, like a small child, toddler, to eat a variety of foods. Through a lot of my therapies that I've been in throughout my lifetime, one of the big things that kind of comes up is I do come from a broken household. So my parents divorced when I was really little. Like I have no memories of being in a home with both of them. And because of that, they had very different parenting styles. And one household, that parent was raised in a lower income, like lots and lots of kids. You ate what you were given, and that's all you were getting. And so that's how he learned to parent. And then the other side, my mom worked with a lot of children with special needs and disabilities as I was growing up. Like she was pregnant with me, working with children and young adults with disabilities. And so for her, she had a very different lens because she experienced a lot of people with feeding challenges. And so there was a lot of push and pull for me as a child. Like in one household, like it was really easy to eat. And in another household, I was terrified to eat. And that kind of perpetuated a challenge. I had a lot of sensory challenges. I still do. I was a late diagnosed ADHDer, and I have a late diagnosis of OCD as well, which goes hand in hand with ARFID. We see a lot of neurodivergent people and people who have obsessive compulsive disorder who also have ARFID. And it's been a crazy journey, to be really honest. I didn't get my diagnosis until 6 years ago. The official diagnosis of ARFID didn't come out until 2013. And even then, it wasn't really well known. We still, to this day, don't have a great treatment protocol. The best treatment for it right now is cognitive behavioral therapy geared for ARFID. But I can tell you, as somebody who treats and lives with it, it's really not the end all be all. It helps in some cases, but you really do need a multidisciplinary team.
Mm-hmm. And I would assume too, it would have to be very personalized. I mean, even more than I think standard therapy. Yes. I've been in therapy for over 30 years, so I've tried them all.
Yes, same.
And then the thing to understand is that it has to be personal. What works for me may not work for anybody else. DBT and EMDR, as an example, did nothing for my trauma. But I'm a talker, and talk therapy was like, oh, that fixes everything. I feel better now. So I can imagine too, trying to work with someone's child to try to figure out exactly what you can do to help them get past any of those things, especially the negative impact. I mean, imagine, because when I read it originally, I couldn't understand how you can have a negative impact by food. How can you be afraid to eat, right? Because for me, again, very low income, we didn't have enough food. It was absolutely, this is what we're eating, and that's it. And you don't get any more. There is no more, literally. And so it was the opposite for me growing up. I definitely was like, I'll eat anything. I still will. But having a choking incident as an example, and how you could possibly figure out exactly what to teach that, both the parent but the child, about what food really is and how to get them past that. I've got to imagine that takes a lot of time. And like you said, I mean, is it a team thing as well? I mean, you and the parents, of course, but I mean, multidisciplinary? Is that just things that you know, or do you need to bring in other people? Because that sounds very complicated.
No, you definitely, anybody that is working with a patient with ARFID has to have a mental health specialist on staff. So because I'm a speech language pathologist, my specialty goes to more of food expansion and making sure our swallow is safe, making sure we have the language to talk about food, especially in our neurodivergent population, because I've really found that people will just dive into food exploration without recognizing that these kids don't know how to talk about what feels good or what feels bad to them, or they don't have the words to talk about textures or tastes or smells. And recognizing too that the way you smell broccoli may be different than the way that I smell broccoli.
Right.
So honoring how they talk about it and like kind of I almost build like a dictionary for each of my patients, like what fits them personally, or
Yeah.
like almost a personal book of some kind, not necessarily a dictionary, but just something that has like what words mean to them and how they describe those things, because the way that I view something is going to be different from another person, especially if they communicate in a different way. I'd also say too, the primary team that I look for my patients is mental health, it's speech or OT, whichever one, which is occupational therapy, as long as they are like grounded in like responsive feeding therapy, and then dietitian for sure. And then you want a really good doctor who takes the time to listen to the patient, listen to the parents, and be open to the fact that this isn't just going to be a quick fix. It does take a long time. I kind of view it almost as like a similar diagnosis to like cancer in some aspects. Like you're going to ebb and flow. You may go into remission. It may come back. There may be like you may be fully cured. And that's everyone's journey is super unique in that. I live with my ARFID every day. And
Right.
there are days that are really hard. And there are weeks where like I'm struggling to eat. And then I have weeks where I'm like, I want to try everything. Let's go to this new restaurant. Let's try this. Sometimes when you get to the new restaurant, you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And like, you're like,
I changed my
why
mind.
why did I say this? Like,
Who would want to do that?
yeah.
I get
It's
it.
a
I have social
trap.
obligations. I
I
have
know,
social
but really.
obligations all the time that I'm like, why am I here? Why did I say
I
I
know.
wanted to do that?
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah. I was just saying, I love that we're talking about how much of a challenge this is and how complicated it is, because as parents, full-time caregivers especially, we're looking at our children and like growing up, all we knew is you have a picky eater. You know, they only want this or that. And it's way more complicated for a lot of people. When my child, she grew up with, you know, she was a baby, she had reflux and that was bad. But then I couldn't get her to eat things. I mean, she would eat, and all my kids are over healthy, let's say. They're a little chubby, and I like them that way. But
yeah. They eat and they feel good in their body.
and she eventually figured that out. But I could not understand the thing that got me. I'm like, you'll eat French fries, and you'll eat mashed potatoes, but you won't eat potato soup. I don't understand. This
You
is
want to know why?
it's delicious. I figured it was the texture.
Well,
That's what it seemed to go with her. But
French
please,
fries, yeah, French fries and mashed potatoes are always consistent, especially if you go to McDonald's. Those French fries always slap. They
Oh.
are always the same. Mashed potatoes are always going to be, like, depending on how your family makes them, the same consistency. They're never going to change. Potato soup has so much margin for error, and it's a mixed consistency.
Oh
And
yeah.
Yeah.
it makes life terrifying in some aspects and really
I love it.
hard.
And it really, I love that we're talking about this, because again came from a family, you eat what you get.
Yeah.
And for me, my first impressive step about being a good parent is, I'll tell you what, if you don't want what we're eating for dinner, I can make you a sandwich. I
Hmm?
always had that option on the table, which
Yeah.
that never would have happened growing up or whatever. And I'm like, yeah,
No.
I do it. And then my kid told his grandfather, I don't like hamburgers or hot dogs. And it was true at the time. She didn't. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be trouble. This is a staple of the world. Everybody likes hamburger. Everybody likes hot dogs. Come on, every kid likes hot dogs. And that beginning of understanding of, one, it's not my child, you know, is awful or weird necessarily, but it's
Or being
sh-
defiant or
Oh
problematic.
yeah, she
Yeah.
needs certain things. It needs to come in a certain way, and I love
That's-
that, because I
yeah.
didn't think about soup being inconsistent, but it absolutely is. And now my mind, I'm like, I want to go to her school and pick her up and go, I'm so sorry, and I understand now why you didn't like potato soup.
I brought you
My-
French fries
my
as a peace
wonderful
offering.
crock pot potato soup that I would make in the morning. I'd have to worry about dinner, and you just hated it. And I'm sorry. I get it now. So this moment for me has made the show. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was gonna
Feel like a
say
better parent.
my son is a similar sort of thing. He does not like hamburgers and steak and a chicken breast, that kind of stuff. But
Ugh,
he'll
yeah.
eat other things that now that you've explained, have a consistency in their preparation with
Yeah.
less margin of error for being tasting different. That makes so much sense. I would have never
Sorry,
known
mind
that.
blown.
That's
Well,
that that is awesome.
one of the things science in the psychology world has really started to look into and talk about, especially in terms of ARFID, is that our brains as human beings, if you believe in evolution, if you believe we've come from Neanderthals or cavemen, any of those lines, that they were stuck in survival mode, right? So they had to be very cautious about what they ate. Fruits and things growing in the ground could have been poisonous for them. Even certain meats, like trying to get them, could get you killed. So it's that thought process of a lot of people will revert
Yeah.
back to that
Wow.
of your brain goes into protection mode. This look, this smell, the way that this presents, I'm going to protect my body and I'm going to avoid it at all costs. It's very interesting.
These
That's
chickens here do
amazing.
not bring any problems into the thing. This is all I'll eat now, child.
These nasty
Yes. Yes.
chicken nuggets that I wouldn't feed the dog. And yeah, my kid, and it's
all they want.
it's-
Chicken nuggets.
Yep.
or like the big Thanksgiving dinner, which again, a lot of our audience is the main cook in the family. And for a lot of us, that's kind of part of our love language. We
Mhm.
want to present a meal to you and see you enjoy it. And that's how we love you. And making Thanksgiving dinner
And we're eating the dinner
all your kid
rolls.
wants is it's a roll. I just want to roll. And I the first time it hurt me. I mean,
Yeah.
it hurt me. I'm like, and that was me, not them. Obviously, I had to get over that, and I
Yeah.
did. But again, looking at all that new stuff, it makes so much sense if you think about it in an evolutionary sense. That I don't know what that is, and I don't
Yes.
want to try it until I know it's safe
Yeah.
for me. Because a lot of times too, I'm like, look, I'm eating it. Everybody's eating it. It's good. That doesn't matter to that. I don't know if we
Yeah.
call it
That's
caveman
like, all
brain
right,
or
Yeah,
parents.
yeah.
reptile
That's-
brain, or
Parents, listen, here's the thing. If your kid says, "Oh, I really like that," don't try to change it and make it better. Leave it as it is.
Yeah.
That
Also,
is-
too, sometimes kids will tell you that to make you feel good and they're already masking. So they'll tell you they like it. And then you're like, why
Oh.
they liked it this day? Why don't they like it the next? And it's no, because they were lying to you to make you feel good.
Oh,
Like it's
wow.
crazy
Wow.
how young we're seeing
in the heart.
masking. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's tough because it's
But
like
it does make sense though. I'm sorry, you go ahead.
yeah,
about
no, you're
masking.
fine. My partner, hopefully he doesn't listen to this, but he probably will. But sometimes he'll make stuff and I'm like, oh,
He will.
yeah, it's really good. And then I'm like, oh, I really hope he never makes that again. Like I really want you to think it's good. And we've come so far in our relationship now that I'm like, no, I don't like it. I'm not eating it. And you
Mhm.
could tell he gets frustrated, but we found a really good way to navigate that. But I wanted to go back to kind of what you were saying about like how it hurts. A lot of times parents are not willing to admit that, and not calling out anyone specifically in my therapy room, but sometimes I'm like, it's okay for your feelings to be hurt over this. It's just not
Right.
okay for us to blame it
Yeah.
on the child, blame it on
Yeah.
the situation. But also, we have to address those hurt feelings because in the future, we want to make sure that if this comes up again, we all have the proper tools, not just the person I'm treating, but the entire team has the proper tools to support the situation moving forward.
Nice.
So it's okay to have hurt feelings if somebody doesn't like what you make. That's typical human behavior. We just sometimes, if you have somebody who has a feeding or eating difference or disorder, have to handle it a little bit more delicately. But it's okay to tell them, it's okay that you don't like what I had to make. Am I sad about it? Yeah, but that's a me problem, not a you problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Learning that
that.
we're not responsible for other people's emotions is
Yes.
huge. I mean,
And
because
hard.
it really is. Because I will say, if you had my form of ADHD, just straight up told my wife, she got me a Christmas present that it wasn't on my list and I didn't like it. I didn't want it. I didn't know why. And I'm like, why would you get me this? I think you should take it back. Could you? And she was crushed, of course,
Oh.
as a human being would be. And this is,
Yeah.
I mean, she is my moon and stars. All right. I love this woman. I mean, I cannot tell you, but it's just how it does it for me. And that's how I
Yeah.
expect other people to do it. And what I've learned with my kids is I have to confirm with them, no, be confident, be tactful, be nice, but tell me, I don't like
Yes.
the way this tastes. I don't like that. I don't want this with that or whatever. Because if you don't, I'll just keep making it that way.
Yes.
Just,
Yeah.
you like spaghetti with broccoli in it. All right, it's spaghetti and broccoli forever. Talk about broccoli a lot. We all love broccoli.
It's okay.
Rock,
I know you
everything's
do.
fine.
I know you do. It's okay.
But anyway,
But so this whole topic is so poignant just because there are so many parents that we talk to on a regular basis, both in our Discord channel and in personal life, especially, if you're at the park or whatever, and you just have that moment for
Yeah.
a parent to just be like, here's everything. And it
We
usually,
call it trauma dumping. It's
Yeah,
great.
trauma dumping.
It's
that's pretty
really
much
cathartic.
exactly. And
that's my
but it's
superpower, is to make people trauma dump. It's hilarious.
But in all of the conversations that we've had, it's always just been, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's just one parent trying to talk to another parent. It has really never been anything that's been in line with, is there a professional that can be talked to in this or anything along those lines? And so that's the other thing that's really great about this is that there are quite a few folks. We were just talking about the Instagram of Feeding Matters. And
Yeah.
just all the stuff that's in there. And I'm like I
Yeah,
didn't know
that's
this
beautiful.
existed. And I wish I had it 5 years ago because when I was trying to just figure out like how do I not just try to strangle my child because they won't eat and what do I do in this situation? And it's you walk out of the room and you're just screaming to a pillow and
Yep.
come back and you're like, I'm fine, okay, let's do this again. This is amazing that all this is on here. And so and there's so many different people. You've got all these guests that have come on and shared things as well. And I'm like, I didn't know any of these people existed. And it's wow, this is so cool.
It's a lot.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about how did you get connected with this Feeding
Feeding
Matters?
Matters.
Yeah.
Organization.
It was pre-COVID. I had been a professional for a year. I was thrown into a caseload that I had no clue what I was doing. I was never taught it in grad school. And I was like, I need help. I was drowning and I was looking for a lifeboat, and Feeding Matters was that lifeboat. I started following their website and just watching all their blog posts, really trying to figure out where I belonged in the feeding world. And all during that process, I was also realizing I had disordered eating and I was not a good eater and I struggled with all of the things. And the only time I felt safe was when I was working with my patients, trying to help them expand food. And so I found them, I think it was like tail end of 2019. And then COVID hit and everything changed. And we had to switch to telehealth, and it was terrifying. And it was really hard because doing therapy in person is already hard. Trying to do it in telehealth is 1,000 times harder, especially when you've never done it before. But Feeding Matters is this amazing, intricate organization that started off 20 years ago. We're having our 20th anniversary this year, and I'm pumped for it. I actually will leave the conference and go to Arizona to celebrate that. So October is going to be a crazy month. But they started off by a mom who had triplets who all had feeding challenges. And she founded Feeding Matters, which was originally called Popsicle. And some of the biggest names in our field, there's an occupational therapist named Marcia Duncline. There's a psychologist named Dr. Kay Toomey. We've got Michelle Dawson, who's a speech therapist. These guys all, and Aaron Ross, there's a bunch of them. They're phenomenal human beings that all kind of came together and were like, we have to help this population. This is way more prevalent than people realize. There's so many harmful practices being done. People are being force fed. People are like just being forced to sit in a table with a tabletop over them so they can't get out, and you're not allowed to leave until you bite this food. The practices just were not well. And so they wanted to create a place where professionals, but parents can come together and sit at the table. And so 3 years ago, they created the Feeding Matters Consortium, which was a group of lived experience who had either lived personally with an eating or feeding disorder, or were a parent or caregiver to someone with a feeding disorder. And I signed up at midnight one night and I was like, I'll do this. This sounds fun. And then I got it. And that's how I got connected with David. And
That's cool.
yeah.
And it's David Rogers, right? That's who we're talking about here.
Schnitzler.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
my bad.
No, yeah, you're good.
David. Okay,
Yes.
yeah. So David Schnitzler. Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Too many Davids I know. In
Yeah.
this
There
No,
are a
it's
lot,
okay.
and I have to say, so too many of them are involved in planning.
Yeah,
should start,
or involved
okay?
with just amazing people. Hey, every year for the convention, it's like, hey, we need speakers. Oh, I know this person. I know that person. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes.
Who is
before you
it?
were so rudely interrupted.
No,
Sorry.
it's okay. No. And so we started the consortium, and the consortium really is the true embodiment of professionals and caregivers and lived experiences sitting at a table together and having an open dialogue and like not worrying about hurting feelings, not worrying about coming across as difficult or problematic, or like when you're just trying to be an advocate for your kid or for yourself. And so we have published a research paper
Nice.
and talked about what we want the field of feeding to study. But beyond that, Feeding Matters has so much more. They have a provider portal where you can go and look for providers, but they also have this program called the Power of Two. So if you are experiencing as a parent or a caregiver a challenge in the feeding world with your child, you can sign up for this and be matched with another parent. So it's a less lonely. It's still lonely. It's still hard.
Sounds
but
like a
it-
take a
it
village
gives
type
you-
of situation. Though.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you get connected with other parents or caregivers who are going through a similar journey, it just gives you some more comfort and a place to bounce ideas off of. But they
Yeah.
host 2 conferences every year. They do one that's focused just on feeding in general, and then one that's more of an eating psychology summit where it's more psychology focused. And they really just want to make it accessible for parents and caregivers to be able to have the latest research, but also to be a part of research and really drive research, because
Yeah,
that's where research should be, is with the lived experience.
So I've been
That's amazing.
scrolling through looking at the Instagram account, and a couple things point out to me. One, Popsicle is a acronym. So that was the thing. I was like, wow, I was like, they're trying to catch up to Imagine Dragons, in fact that they're an acronym as well, because that's a really long word, Popsicle.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. But the other things that I was seeing on here is that May, even though also too, like we were talking about it, it's mental health awareness. That's a big thing with Danny and I and the organization as a whole. And that's this next month's podcast episodes are all going to be circling around. It is also, May is also the PFD and ARFID awareness month as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it is.
And
We
there is.
yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah. So you got
Wow.
that. The other thing. The
Now
other thing,
that's
though,
cool. You should have that on the wall behind you. No offense to
Oh.
BTS. None.
there's a little
whatsoever,
spot in
but-
between the BTS,
Yeah, you
like
need
on
to make a
the
space.
far right side of
That's
it. Yeah.
impressive.
It goes
Nice.
at my office at work.
Oh, there it is. That's where it
sure,
goes.
I guess.
You got to be able to show it off to the
Come on.
clients. That's how that
Yeah.
I
works.
guess, but come on.
I
You
get
gotta
it.
be in
I
home
get
dad
it.
chat.
they,
need to see-
they give you multiple, so I guess I could do both.
There
Do
you
they?
go.
Yeah.
I was going to say on here,
that's
the one
impressive.
thing that's on here too is that you guys, there's a post on here that's a thank you to all the states that recognize May as that awareness month for PDF and ARFID. I was super excited to see that Wisconsin is on there.
Yes.
Yeah, Danny.
Of course.
So
And
Wisconsin,
Ohio,
I
where
think-
I'm at. So
I think so. Feeding Matters tries to create community councils in every state. And so the community councils they're all volunteer based. Nobody is paid, and they create for that city or that state driving forces. In my state, I do like all of the stuff with legislation. If they pass something down and they're like, hey, do this, get a proclamation made, or talk to your representatives about XYZ, I'm doing it. And I'm like full send, because it needs to be recognized. So each year they send out a message to volunteers and to people to get them to sign up to get this done in their state. Not every state does it. Not every city does it, which is kind of a bummer, but I get it because they can only have so many on the docket or whatever. It's fine. But this is my second year in a row being able to get it done for the state of Kansas. And it's so awesome. Like,
That
it's
is
so
awesome.
great.
that is really
That
cool.
is
I was
very
just
cool.
I was looking to see where in Ohio, and actually right here in the Cincinnati area, there's some people that are connected with that. So that's really, I'm excited about
Yes.
that because I run the local dads group here in Cincinnati, and so I can now pass that resource on to
Yes.
some of the dads who I see who are like, what do I
Yeah.
do with my kids? And
Yes.
I mean, and two, hopefully this episode, if they listen to it, will also see, oh, maybe as an adult also might have things that I need to figure out.
Yeah.
So I know we have, for the phrasing that I used earlier, is picky eaters. And that's something that I've, grew up with. I always knew that existed. And, even from day one of having a child, I knew that it could be possible that I don't like bologna or whatever. And there is that, of course.
Yeah.
You don't like
There's
it, you don't like
typical
it.
toddler development or
But this
child
is,
development, but yeah. Feeding Matters actually says if it's scary, if it hurts, or if it's hard, it's not picky eating. And I
I
live
like
by
that.
that. Yeah, it's
That's
really
good.
great.
That is a very
They,
good thing.
yeah, their campaign starts for the month of May on Friday, and it's the It's Not Picky Eating campaign. And it's all about raising
Oh,
awareness about moving away from terminology like picky. I think one of the things I'm very passionate about this, so I can get on a tangent. So if you have to cut me off, it's okay. But
Nope, you're good.
when it comes to the term picky as a lived experience, it is such a frustrating term because you're dismissing who I am as a person. You're calling me
hmm.
a problem.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
saying I am these really negative contexts because, like, whenever you're using the term picky,
Yeah.
it's never positive. I literally have tried to find a way to use picky as a positive context and it just doesn't happen.
No.
And it's really funny that you're talking about it today because I made a post about it yesterday and I'm like, stop using the word picky
Mhm.
because I'm so tired of being called it. It was called that my whole life and it made doctors dismiss me. It made them go, your weight is
Yeah.
fine. But I was living off ramen noodles for 6 years. That is
Yeah.
all I ate. That was all I could eat. And you're just saying, you'll grow out of it. I'm 20 years old. What do you mean I'll grow out of it?
Right.
This doesn't make sense.
No, no, you've settled in your ways, so to speak. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
love that we are talking about that because I do recognize that is, old terms is how we use it.
Mhm.
We used to call little girls bossy as an example, which
Mhm.
is just absolutely negative and just a garbage way. I'm trying not to cuss to do. And it makes that same thing because they're not bossy. Again, that's all negative. They have
Yeah.
leadership qualities. They're strong-willed even, but it's not that negative. Getting away from saying my kids are picky or my kids are picky eaters. And like you said, recognizing who they are as
Mhm.
opposed to saying you're a bad kid.
Yeah.
You're doing bad things. That's
Well,
amazing.
and you don't even recognize how much a child growing up with a difference from other people, whether it be a physical difference, a mental health difference, regardless of what it is, they internalize so much. And sometimes we don't even recognize it until they become an adult and they're like, why am I so hypercritical of myself? Or why do I think, for me, one of the hardest things that I'm working on is like, I will be talking about myself and I'll be like, yeah, my brain is just so stupid. And I'm like, why am I saying that? I'm a really smart person. I have a master's degree. I do all these things and I've worked really hard to get there. So why am I talking about myself in that
Hmm.
way? And so it's a really big shift and it's hard to do, mind you. We as a society get really hooked on words and like professionals know that's what brings people in the door. But I do not use it unless I'm talking about it in this capacity to
Nice.
explain things to people. I will use selective, I will use feeding and eating differences because this just tells the human being that we're talking about that this is just one small portion of them. It's not their identity. It's not who they are as a person. And even like when I have kids in my room, if they're really severe, have a lot of challenges, depending on their age, I will ask the parent to talk separately. One, because sometimes parents need space to have emotion and
Yeah.
they don't always want to do that in front of their child. And two, I don't want the child sitting there going, oh, mommy's crying in this appointment about
And
me and it's my fault.
it's my fault. Yeah.
Yeah. And so being really mindful of that. And that's not something I was necessarily taught in school. It was something that I recognize in myself. Like when I go to an appointment, like when they're talking about my weight or they're talking about my lifestyle or what I'm eating, and I'm just sitting here going, that's not who I am. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something I'm working on, but it's not who I am as a
Right.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
my
That's
wife has gotten
beautiful.
to where she actually, when the kids say different things, like maybe they talk negatively about themselves and stuff like that, or even too, you're at the doctor's and you kind of correct them. You're like, no, that's not a word we're going to use for this situation.
Correct.
And you get people that push back and are like, why not? And her answer is always, words have meanings. And if you're just saying it and someone has a already perspective of what that meaning of that word is, and you are
Yeah.
you and your own, the way you're saying it, that's not what you meant to say. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter because they already have a definition in their head. And so
Yes.
being able to use proper wordage and being able to communicate is such a key thing. And so we use that all the time with our kids
Yes.
because there are so many times kids say things and you're like, hey, that's actually not the proper word for that. And they're like, why not? So and so uses it. And it's, well,
Yeah.
and you get a chance to explain it to them and have that kind of a conversation. And I think more and more these days, just that understanding of words have meanings. I just we joke about it. We're just like, that's a t-shirt, like straight
Yeah.
up. It needs to be put out there because there's just so many times people say things in the media and on social media and whatnot. And you're just like, I know that's not what you meant. But
Right.
and also too, I can tell it's not what you meant by how you're going about continuing the
Yes.
conversation. And it's, oh my gosh, it's just so frustrating. And so yeah, we've used that phrase as almost a family motto of, words have meanings.
Yes. Also, too, very proud of your wife. Don't know her, but I'm very proud of her because
You'll get to
that
meet her.
takes,
We're gonna be at
oh, yay.
we're speaking at the convention as well.
Hey, oh, cool. I'm excited. But you should tell her if before she hears this, I'm proud of you because it is really hard as a parent to come into a space where you are not the professional in that medical field or whatever it may be, and to correct them. And there's almost sometimes, not everybody, but there's a sense of arrogance or because I'm the professional, I know best. And no, you do not. When a person walks into my room with their child, they know their child better than I ever
Yes.
will. And
Yes.
my entire job is to look at the dynamic and to support the entire family. It is to help them. It's not to make them fit into some box that they will never fit in. It's not to make them check mark off this task list. It is
Yes.
100% for me to give them tools to feel successful, to feel comfortable, to feel confident, and being at home and feeding their child. And it's important for people to talk back to professionals and to challenge them.
Mm,
It's not aggressive, it's not mean, but challenging them is important
yeah.
because I do it all the time with other professionals. And I'm like, if you continue using this terminology, which you know to be harmful, people have told you it is not just something that you are being compliant in, you are making a choice. And
Yeah.
like you say, words matter. Words have so much meaning. And I will say it until I'm like blue in the face. We as professionals need to stop acting like we are the end all be all and getting on the level of these families and meeting them where they're at directly and being a sounding board, not a dictator. Sorry,
Nice.
that's a little harsh, but really.
Nope, I love
No, no,
that.
it's not
I
at
love
all.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it fits very well with the experience a lot of parents have with, especially dads. I
Mhm.
mean, you want to feel like you don't know anything in the world. Be that first time dad with your baby going in for that first doctor's appointment. And if that doctor
Yeah.
isn't kind and understanding, you're an idiot. They just,
Mhm.
I mean, they just,
Or
it's
they
awful the
or they
experience.
just
They
look at
just,
the mom and
hmm?
only talk to
Yep.
Yeah.
the mom.
Or they'll
I
call
can't
her, like,
stand
can I call
that.
your wife? Why do you need to call my wife? And
Yeah,
no, you can't because she's working. She's, on this,
correct.
the school's the same way, but you get that feeling of it. And to understand, and people have asked me advice about kids before because I've got 4 kids and I've been doing this a little while, whatever, but they'll ask me advice and how do I get my, I'm like, "No, I don't know your kid at all. I don't know anything about your kid. I've seen them here on the playground or whatever. So I don't know. You do though. So you
Yeah.
tell me, what do you think? Now, I do have ideas that worked for my children, but that's
Hmm.
not your children. And then to move that forward to understand with professionals, health professionals especially, to say, yeah, I understand that you know all of these things. You can give me the tools. You tell me which
Yes.
tools I need to use. But the parent is going to know that child far better than any doctor can.
We
All
have to
day
have
with them.
Yeah.
whenever my wife and I take our oldest in who has rare autoimmune disease and it's like the first time they're communicating with a new doctor or whatever, we always say, hey, listen, we get it. You're a professional in medical field and that sort of thing, but we're gonna tell you right now, we know more about this kid and what they're going through than you've had a chance to research in this
Right.
situation.
Mhm.
Let me tell you all this stuff, and also too, just keep an open mind and be ready to think outside of the box because
Yep.
he is not going to fit into any mold that you have ever seen for a patient. And that
Yes.
straightforwardness, it kind of like
It catches
takes
them off
doctors,
guard.
it totally catches them off guard. But at the same time, the good ones, they're
Mhm.
like, thank you so much. You are
Yeah.
setting me up for understanding, how to go about helping your child. And
Yes.
I think that's the thing that a lot of parents need, is that confidence to just be like, not be mean about it or anything, but
No.
just to be like, let me present to you what's going on here, and then set your mind at a place, or as my wife likes to call it, headlining
Mhm.
in her
Yes.
professional field of what she does,
Yep.
and see where things go.
Yeah. I always try to start off sessions, especially if I have a complex case coming in, by telling the parent or the caregiver, listen, my job is not to know everything. It is to take what I see in front of me. And if I see something where I'm like, I'm not sure, I'm going to tell you, you're going to know. And I'm going to let you know I do everything in my possible ability to research it, to find information about it. I'll go to a conference with you if I need to. It's important for us to be, in my opinion, level the playing field. But in all honesty, parents and the lived experience should be a little bit higher. Just in my personal opinion, other people may disagree with that. I think it's important for everybody to be sitting at the same table. But when you have the information that you have as a parent, a caregiver, or the person living it, you are so intricately and delicately in touch with whatever you're going through. And unless the person that's treating you has the exact same condition with the exact same symptoms, you're not going to know as much as they are. You
Right.
have a very small window of knowledge. And so it's important for us as professionals to be understanding of that, and to recognize that what we learn in a book and in a classroom is not everything. And it's not how to treat a whole person.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
Definitely. Rachel, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking with us. I know this is a small taste of
Brock
it's
said it
like-
in the intro. There's no way this is going to be enough. But we don't want to know everything today. We want people to understand, especially people coming to the convention, that they need to come and talk to you and they need to listen to your presentation. But yeah, I think we
Yeah.
could talk for another hour. I think an hour, we could
Yeah.
keep-
easily
we
we
don't have
could,
time.
yeah.
But yeah.
But that's the nice
Yes.
part about you getting to come to Home Dad Con. You get to talk and have conversations with folks, with the guys afterwards and that stuff too.
Yes.
So definitely
Yeah,
looking
I'm really
forward to having
excited.
you. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you so much, like I said, coming on, for just the information that you shared with us. And I know Danny and I are probably both in the same boat on this. We're really looking forward to hearing more of what you have to share. We're really excited to be able to share this out to those who are considering coming. And hopefully this will maybe even intrigue others who were on the fence to make that decision to also come. Thank you so much. And we will see you in October in Chicago.
Yes, I'm excited. It'll be
All
great.
right.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.